Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Thursday. We've made it to the back half of the week, brought to you by our great friends at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and the WOW Network, the WOW Club. Just go to my WOW Network and you will find the WOW Club right there, and you need to join that. It's free. Totally free app to sign up for. Start earning WOW rewards today. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your phone. They sent me a half-off app the other night, and I was like, wow. Went and used that. It was incredible. When you sign up for the WOW Club, you immediately start earning discounts, free food, even VIP invites to special events. And guess what? The WOW Club is a proud sponsor of IU Athletics. So you never know what those VIP events might be, is my point. If you're an IU fan, you definitely want to sign up for the WOW Club, because there's going to be some special things coming up as we get closer and closer to the season. They're also a sponsor of ours. So most importantly, support those who support you. If you need a new car, you know where to go. If you need to get something to eat, you know where to go. Or even more than that. Oh, yeah, they got the new Function, or not, the former Function Brewery. It is now Metalworks. Let's see that new logo up there. There you go. It's hard to see. Man, I'll have to make a copy of that and see if we can do an overlay so you can really see it. It's kind of a cool logo, but you can't really see it up there. Can you do it on the overlay for a second, or you got to copy that? Copy image, and let's see if I can. Nope, no paste. No paste. Gotta get the paste. Man, the guy who does Trump on Saturday Night Live is freaking hilarious. He does a great job. John, if you can copy and paste that, we'll throw it up there. I like it. It's a cool looking.
Give me a second.
Yeah, cool looking logo. Anyway, it's a former Function Brewery, now Metalworks Brewing Company, located right off of the square in Bloomington. If you're, I call it easily, you got the top, the bottom, the right, and the left, because it's north-south. The top is obviously the north side, south is the bottom side. Malibu is on the right, which is the east. And you've got Cabello on the north. And right there, that corner, you turn right, and on your right, you will find the Metalworks Brewing Company right there. All part of the WOW Network. Plenty more coming up there. How was your day? Looking forward to today. As always, Wednesdays are just fun because the great, the magical Bob Kravitz will be joining us from The Athletic. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and Hall of Fame USSBA writer Rick Bozich joins us. Chad Holmgren.
Here's that Metalworks logo, by the way.
Oh, now see, does that look cool or what?
Absolutely.
Now see, here's what you have to understand. It has nothing to do with metal. That's just a name that they used. But if you notice the beard in this dude, it's a hop. That's an upside down hop. You got
That's
the
clever.
gears. Yep. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yep. Just wanted to see that. Hope everybody's doing well. Ryan, you know what? That looks like a new name. Do I have that name? on the book. You know, guys, whenever I see a name on the chat board, I like to put it in the book because I appreciate you guys and I like to find out where everybody's from. So Ryan, I don't recall you, Ryan B. So where are you hailing from there? But he says he didn't know if anyone could answer. How can you catch IU games if you have no cable or live TV? Can you just purchase the Big Ten Network only? You know what? Yeah, I would imagine you can stream. First of all, doesn't the Big Ten sell Big Ten Plus? You have to have internet, first of all. So I'm going.
We live in an age where, with all this Fox stuff, and I know Big Ten Network's a part of Fox, but you also have to worry about FS1 and FS2 games on occasion.
Well, but right now he's just asking how can he get that because he does not have cable or live TV. Well, do you have a phone? However you're watching us, if you're watching on YouTube, apparently, however you're getting that signal, you could probably buy Big Ten Plus, or I hate to do a commercial for someone, but I personally use YouTube TV, and I like it because it's on my phone. I have it on 6 different devices. It has the BTN backups. It has the Fox channels. That's the one I go with. And you don't need anything but a phone to have that. And you can actually cast that. You can get what's called Google Cast and hook that into a TV, and it will cast that to your phone. I mean, to your TV, if you need to. But little cable lesson here this morning. But Ryan, we appreciate you. Where are you? All right, Edinburgh. Beautiful. Ryan B from Edinburgh. Appreciate you, man. He's over there by the what do you call that? Those shops with the John, what do you call that? Or where you have all those shops that are
outside, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right off. They're always right off the interstate. They're all grouped together. Outlets. There you go. Yeah, he's right up there by the Outlets Mall. See, I always have these moments where I forget a word, and I just need somebody to give me the word, and it just kicks me back. I'm just like I get stuck in it, boop, and take right back off. The Outlets Mall. Absolutely. Appreciate you out, Ryan. But yeah, streaming services. That's how everybody's going anyway. Big Daddy Tebow pointing out Thomas Bryant heading west, my son. Thomas Bryant. Well, we saw the picture of Gabe Cupps getting to work out with LeBron. Well, Thomas Bryant's going to be working out with LeBron as the former Hoosier heading to the sunny shores of Los Angeles. Man, I got to tell you, I have to tell you, I am not at all broken up about USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten because I'm looking forward to going to LA every now and again. I love it. Steve jumping on board. How are you, sir? I'm happy about the fact that Indiana and UCLA basketball are going to play once a year. And it's going to be important because they're not going to play twice. There's no way with that number of teams. You're going to have, like it's always been, there's going to be teams you play twice in a home and home. And the rest are going to be one-offs. Some you play at home, some you play on the road only, and you'll alternate those. 1 year, Indiana will play at Pauley Pavilion. The next season, they'll be at Assembly Hall. But won't that be cool? I mean, that's the reason they did this. Indiana and UCLA, big game every time. Every time. Tim listening from work in Louisville, but now lives in Lanesville. Moved out to beautiful Lanesville in southern Indiana. Have the big festival in September. Great time down there. Ryan said he's fine with the radio. Also, he's just wondering if there was any better options. He was using Hulu Live for catching. Nope, not in this day and age, man. Streaming is how everything it's either going to be on the major network, and that means Fox and or one of the others. So you're going to have something that has those if you're going to watch sports. Pete, jumping on from Minneapolis. I'll tell you, and I'll be honest, other than getting to see my friend Pete, I am not looking forward to going to Minneapolis for the as much as I am looking forward to going to LA for UCLA and USC games. I'm not looking forward to going to Minneapolis for the Big Ten tournament. Mainly because of the time of year. It's going to be stinking terrible. But it's always enjoyable to see someplace new. I've been through Minneapolis, but not really there. So looking forward to that. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Especially in March. You can ice fish. Now that would be fun. Now that would be funny because that just simply reminds me of Grumpy Old Men, the movie. And this is where, John, I wish we had like the instantaneous sound clips and you could just pull up those kinds of sound clips that fast. You've probably never seen that movie. It's hilarious.
The problem is half of the movies you reference, I don't know what they are. I mean, I know what Grumpy Old Men is, but I've never seen him.
Well, no, but you just have to Google it. But yeah, they're hilarious. It's hilarious. It's hilarious because it's about two old men that are funnier than crap. It's Walter Matthau and Lemon. I can't remember his first name, but anyway, they're just funnier than crap. Oh, then you got Burgess Meredith in there. He's hilarious. Do yourself a favor, watch the movie. It's funny. Trust me. Two men can make you laugh, I promise you. And it was filmed in Minnesota, apparently. Who knew? Filmed in Minnesota, eh? But they say that they're in Wabasha, Wisconsin. I think that's where they're supposed to be in the movie. It's Wabasha, but I think it's... Why wouldn't they just say Wabasha, Minnesota?
And that's why I don't understand the same thing, why certain TV shows make up town names. Whenever they say they're in... Like in Parks and Recreation, they say they're in Pawnee, Indiana. Like, that's not a real town. Why can't they just exist in a real Indiana town? Well, because in that particular show, Pawnee, Indiana, the city is not exactly considered a really nice city. Eagleton, Indiana, their neighbor is like very snobby, and they're like down. They look down on Pawnee. Pawnee is like looked upon as almost a redneck town or something. That makes sense.
Did you know that the
show Stranger Things, Hawkins, also based supposedly Hawkins, Indiana.
Huh. No, I didn't know that.
I did not know that. There you go. Now you do. I wish that Kevin Brockway was on today. Oh boy, do I wish Kevin Brockway was on today. Mike Scherzer made his return for the Mets last night, and he pitched like 6. I think he went 6 scoreless innings, or maybe 7. And the Mets lose to the Reds 1-0. Just funny. I just thought I'd got a good kick out of that. Oh, and before I forget, Jason Spiegel, I'm going to give him a shout out. Gave us a nice, great comment. He's the assistant girls varsity basketball coach up in Decatur, Indiana. So got their whole crew back this year. They won the sectional last year. And so they're going to do big things this year. But Jason, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you listening, and good luck this season. We got lots more coming up today. Bob Kravitz, Kyle Neddenriep, Ricky B. Rick Bozich joins us as well. Bob Kravitz next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends at Cabello Restaurant, a part of the WOW Club. Join the WOW Club. It's totally free to sign up for. Start earning WOW rewards today. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up for the WOW Club today. Back with Bob Kravitz right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting... There he is, Mr. America.
I'll be right back, Jim.
He heard you sing and said, "The hell with this."
I know everybody seems to do that.
Well, there might be a hint there. Hey, if you want to talk, I mean, some things to talk about.
Yes,
with the Pacers, I think there's a chance the Miles Turner trade goes down here real soon. And I think they're in on DeAndre Ayton. I don't know what 100%, but it would not surprise me if a bunch of stuff happens here in the next few days.
That would be good. They got to do something, baby.
They're not very good right now. They're very small. They're all 6'5" guys besides Goga Batadze and Miles and Jackson. But
it's like, what's his name? From Saturday Night Live, Chevy Chase in
I'm back.
In Caddyshack. You're not good. You stink.
You're not very good.
Yeah, you're not good. You stink.
Yeah, you're really quite a slouch.
Oh, you're no slouch yourself. You're not good. You stink. Oh, that will forever be one of my absolute favorite movies. I don't know how you can go an entire lifetime and have a movie. That will be, because I remember seeing that in the theater with my best friend Kurt at the time. We were probably 13, and that's the perfect movie to see as a 13-year-old. It has everything. It had boobs. It had cussing. It had sports.
What else could you possibly ask for?
And it was funnier than crap. Yeah. And it had all those memorable lines. And dude, it is just. And the first time we saw it was in the theater. It
should be no surprise to you that one of my favorite movies of all time is Slapshot.
Oh, another great one.
We can talk about that too. That's pretty funny. Whatever you want.
Oh, and the other would be Semi-Pro is one of those.
Yeah, that was a really good flick too. Yeah.
Semi-Pro is probably the first movie I saw as a kid that I was too young to watch.
Have you ever been hit in the jejunum?
Oh man.
Semi-Pro was with Nick Nolte and Mac Davis. Was
Will
that
Ferrell's
movie?
in it.
Okay, well, then Semi-Pro is that the Tropics?
Yeah, the Tropics.
Oh, then I'm thinking of what's the movie with Nick
Just
Nolte?
giving you the football
seconds.
movie based on the book.
And a Sports Beat Radio.
Why am I having a brain
This
fart?
segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Joined now by the great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. You
Wait,
should be a
it's
subscriber.
Thursday?
I don't even know what day it is. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. That's right. See, I have to write it.
You confused the hell out of me.
I have to write it on these weeks when they're short weeks.
Right.
I have to write down what day it is every day, or I forget what day it is. The other day I said Memorial Day instead of 4th of July because we had Monday off.
You have issues.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah, well, we all do, man.
You have no idea. Well, happy Wednesday as Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joins us. You should be a subscriber. I am. And I'll be honest with you, The Athletic is an unbelievable source of information across the board, and I'm being serious. I enjoy reading it thoroughly. I think it is the best overall site out there. I really believe that.
I'll tell you what. I've been really, really gratified working for them. I wish that we had college basketball, writer right now, which we don't have anymore. We used to have Dustin Dupirak, who did a great job, and during the pandemic, we had to make some cuts, unfortunately. So we lost. We lost our Pacers writer, and we lost Dustin, and so
you lost it.
We
lost a good one in Dustin. Dustin joins us each week. He's with the Bloomington Herald Times now,
yes,
so
he's doing just fine for himself.
They're
hey
good
Bob. Also,
yeah.
this happened last week too. For some reason, you're coming in scratchy again. Would you mind dropping out and coming back in for us?
Okay, hit leave, and come back. Okay,
thanks,
Send
Bob.
him
Sorry
away.
about that.
But yeah, Dustin Dupirak, yeah, we are fortunate to have him each week as well. But when I tell our young writers, people to read, people to read their craft and what they do. Bob Kravitz is one, Rick Bozich is one, Dustin Dupirak is one, Zach Osterman is another, Pat Forty. Those guys, I tell my guys, read their work, man. That's
all right. How are we sounding now?
You are like a superstar, man. Thanks, Bob. I was only hoping that Kevin Brockway was on today as well because he's a big Mets fan. Well, I didn't know that. You're a Mets fan?
I am. I don't follow them the way I used to. And back in the 70s, I can name every player, every position, the lineup, the whole bit. Not anymore. But yeah, I grew up in New York, and I grew up a Mets fan because, to be a Yankee fan, you have to be part of some satanic cult.
Yeah. Where in New York?
Long Island.
Why did I not know this? Kevin Cabro, as we like to affectionately call him now, is from Queens.
He's from Queens. He's from right in the middle of it. So yeah, we used to go to my wife's family is all Mets fans, and her parents did the same thing that my parents did. Opening day, they take us right out of school, and we'd head on over to Shea Stadium, which seemed like the nicest, most magical place in the world. And then you go back there 20 years later, and it's the biggest dump. It's the biggest dump. I'd love to go to the new City Field because I hear it's fantastic.
I still would have liked to have gone to Shea Stadium just because of the history. I did not get to go there, but I've never been to a Yankee Stadium either.
You never been to Yankee Stadium?
Well, they keep tearing them down and rebuilding them, so I've been to none of them.
There's been what? Once, but
they've been what? Three? There's been 3 in my lifetime.
I think, maybe 3. I thought 2, but yeah,
well,
going to Yankees games, living in Manhattan, as I was in the early 80s, it was like one train and you're there. So we used to go to Yankees games all the time.
I did get to go to while they were building the new Comiskey Park. Not only did I go to a game at Old Comiskey Park, I saw Michael Jordan take batting practice at Old Comiskey Park.
How cool is that?
So that was back when he was doing his baseball thing. And then I was working for CBS the next year, and we were working the first telecast from the new Comiskey Park. They were playing the Tigers with Cecil Fielder and all that crew, but got to work the first broadcast from the new Comiskey Park. So it was fun.
I got a great Comiskey Park story for you real quick. Remember Disco Demolition Day?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, me and a date were there that night.
Are you kidding me?
No.
What was that like? Was that in the 70s?
That would have been late 70s. Yeah.
If you're not familiar,
that would have been like a 77, 78, somewhere in there.
Just Google. You'll have to Google this, but back in the late 70s, was it still the owner, the famous owner of
Bill Veeck?
Bill Veeck. This is the guy who back in the old days, he sent up today I'm not allowed to say, a smaller person, a very, very, very small person to bat.
Yeah. He drew a walk, strangely enough.
And wasn't he the guy that did not put the numbers on the players' uniform or the names on the players' uniforms so people would buy programs?
Right. That's it. Yeah. I think that was Bill Veeck as well, but they had Disco Demolition Night in a radio jock, Steve Dahl, who is a big deal in Chicago. A lot of people hated disco and hated the direction the music was going. So he said, bring your disco albums, which I had none of. So, and at in between games, they started blowing up all these records in the outfield. Well, the next thing you know, kids, mostly kids and guys my age, women and men my age, were on the field going bananas, and they had to cancel the second game.
That's crazy.
I was not on the field. I want that on the record. I was in the stands doing my thing. But Disco Demolition Night, that was quite an adventure.
That's amazing to be a part of, because that's a historical thing. If you know anything about baseball. Forrest is in B-Town, says good morning. He's up from Georgia. So good morning to you, Forrest. Appreciate you on. North Dallas 40 is the movie I was trying to think of.
Great book.
That's the movie I was trying to think of. Nick Nolte and Mac Davis. Actually, and probably a pretty accurate from a football standpoint.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, the way guys were drinking and drugging, and the way, they had like a Tom Landry character as the coach, and how he turned a blind eye. He was a real moral, religious fellow, and how he turned a blind eye to all the stuff that was going on. Yeah, if you have a chance to see North Dallas 40, definitely watch it, but watch Slapshot first.
Oh, absolutely. That too.
My favorite movie.
Was Paul Newman in that?
Oh, yes, he was.
Paul Newman
played Reg Dunlap.
Reg Dunlap,
who was at the end of his career and was the player coach of the team. And they decided that in order to get fans in the stands, they had to goon it up. And what people don't realize, it was really kind of a critical piece on the violence that was, going on in hockey back then, with the Broad Street bullies and everything else. It was really a very critical but funny movie. it had a message for sure.
Hey, I know I'm killing the vibe, but Bob, it's happening again. I don't know if you can hear it on your side, but
I can't hear it.
Jim, are you able to hear it when it's coming through? Are you hearing what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. We'll try one more time, Bob, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll try one more time. Okay, sorry.
Appreciate it.
Some days are diamonds, some days are stones. The technology doesn't always work great.
That's the brilliant thing about live radio. You got to do things on the fly to get them fixed.
That's all right. Hey, looking forward to talking about when Bob gets back, the trade that the Pacers made with Malcolm Brogdon to Boston. Bob, I was just talking about the Pacers when draft day was here. Everything kind of came and went without the, as you wrote, without the sizzle. Basically, nothing happened as we expected. But now the Indiana Pacers have made a trade, traded Malcolm Brogdon to Boston, and they received like 42 players in exchange. One of those, Juwan Morgan, by the way, bringing Indiana's Juwan Morgan to Indiana for the moment. If he can hold on to a spot there, which he may be a guy that they keep on a two-way, which would be good to keep him up and down. And because he's going to be, he would be a fan favorite, and he's been playing. It's not like he's been sitting. He's not been sitting on the end of somebody's bench. He played for the Jazz and he played for the Celtics.
And they need guys at his position. I mean, up front, they are really thin, and Lord only knows what they're going to do next with Miles Turner. So they're right now, they're a bunch of 6'5" guys in Goga Bitadze and Isaiah Jackson. So we'll see what happens. But to me, I mean, I saw a lot of people said they didn't get back enough for Brogdon. I'm like, the guy he played 36 games last year. He missed 25 the year before. I mean, the only time he's ever played a full season was his rookie year. I don't know what you can expect to get in return for a guy who's just hurt all the time. And it's not a rip on him. I mean, he's just hurt. But, they got some cap space. They got a first rounder, which will be a late first rounder because you have to assume that Boston's going to be very good next year. But, that gives them 3 first rounders next year. And I think it puts them in a position where they could probably move up in the draft. And let's face it, they're going to be picking really high next year. This team is going to take a couple of years to rebuild, and I think Indiana fans are cool with that. They don't want to see bad basketball, but I think they're okay seeing, spirited young players do their thing and see some growth because, this mediocrity stuff was just getting old.
Yeah. And so they'll have 3 first-round picks without having a bad record. So there's potentially 4.
No. I'm saying that assuming that they will have. I mean, they'll have their own first rounder already, which will probably be a top 5, top 10 pick, and they'll have 2 more. They got one from Boston. I forget where the other one is from. I'm having a brain seizure here, but they will have 3 picks next year. So. I don't think that you could move Malcolm Brogdon for very much. I just don't think he was that valuable. I read these Boston writers, and they're like, oh, he's a great facilitator, and he does this and does that. Well, first of all, he's a combo guard. He's not really a point guard per se. And secondly, he's always hurt. So, let's see what he can do if he can stay healthy. But the idea that you could get more in return, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What is it that they need, that the Pacers need, that they are
forwards?
But are they going to wait to get those guys through the draft next year, knowing that that's probably coming, knowing that the upcoming or the following draft, but next season is just going to be another season to get through, to get to where they need to get to on the other side? Because this is new territory for the Pacers. They have never rebuilt this way through the draft. They've always done it how they've done it, through trades and however, but they've never had the opportunity to do it this way.
I don't think they're going to wait too long. I really think there are two things that are going on right now. Whether they're going to come to fruition, I don't know. So don't, Bob Kravitz reports. No, it's not. I'm just hearing that the Miles Turner thing is still on the table, and if there's a good offer, they're going to make make a deal. If there's not, I think they're ready to move forward and maybe move him at the trade deadline, because he's going into the last year of his contract. So you don't want to lose him for nothing. And then there's DeAndre Ayton, who I am hearing they are very involved in either, trying to get him as a restricted free agent, making an offer sheet, or maybe a sign and trade. So I think that in the next couple of days, we may see the face of the Pacers change pretty significantly if things go according to plan.
Now, and by face of the Pacers, do you mean for next season?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Because next season, I expect the face of the Pacers to change yet again because of what they'll have in the draft. And like you said,
well, that'll be for the year after. But I'm saying that I think we're going to see some stuff happen here in the next, it could be 24 to 72 hours or longer than that. So I think next season they'll be a very different looking team. And then I think they'll continue that metamorphosis, if you will, the next year, because they're going to have a lot of cap space as well. And that doesn't do the Pacers a whole lot of good, in the sense that they can't get big time free agents here, but they can make uneven trades, which means, if they can make a deal and take on more salary than they give out in a trade. So they have a lot of options moving forward. So, if they make the right kinds of trades and signings, that they could get decent fast. But to me, this is a 2, 3, 4 year process.
And if you don't think that those picks at the top matter, Chet Holmgren, 23.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 blocks in 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
In NBA Summer League play. He played a half. And that's not even a half. Is that a half? Is that a half in an NBA game? 24 minutes?
Yeah. Last I checked.
So in a half of a game, 24/7, 6 blocks and 4 assists.
Well, I had one person in the Pacers front office tell me they think he could be the next Dirk Nowitzki.
He had four triples. He had 4 triples. It was 4 of 6 behind the arc.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. Look, it's summer league. You can't get too excited, but look, if you're Oklahoma City and you're sitting there with this guy, there's a reason to get excited. Look, I guarantee you, if Benedict Mathurin goes off in his first game, we're all going to get excited. So good for them. But again, you're not playing against elite talent in the summer league, but very impressive.
No, but he's playing against better talent than he played in college.
Oh, no doubt. There's no question about it.
And actually, he's having more impressive numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it too is I was reading actually on The Athletic last night that the spacing in the college game is so much different than it is in the pro game. The pro game, there's a lot more spacing, and that allows guys like Holmgren to do his thing with a little more freedom and space. So I think he might be one of those guys who's just perfectly set up to play the NBA space game.
The NBA Summer League, it's obviously underway. When do the Pacers play?
Pacers have their last pre-summer league practice this afternoon, and then they move out. I think to Vegas. And they start in the next couple of days. I haven't looked at the schedule, but they're in the next couple of days. Today's the last practice.
Are you going to Vegas? Can we go?
No. I am banned from Las Vegas. I can never go back. There's a warrant out from. I'm just kidding. No, I am not going to Vegas, unfortunately. Maybe if they had a top 2 or 3 pick and everybody's interested and excited, but yeah, it's not going to happen.
We could do the show live from out there at 6.
Oh yeah, if we survive
at 6 a.m. Well, it'd be 6 a.m. So probably like you come in, do the show, then go to sleep.
Yeah, I've done that before, my friend.
Oh, I've done that. I worked for the National Finals Rodeo is in Las Vegas each December, and having rodeoed and worked in media, obviously I worked in the media department each year during the National Finals, which is a 10-day run. So I was in Las Vegas for about 11 days every year for a long time. That's rough. When you're going 26 hours a day, buddy, that's rough.
And 20 of them are in the casino and the bar.
And I was gonna say, and it's hard not to. You're just going you just don't. You talk about jet lag. Las Vegas has its own lag.
Yeah,
it's a Las Vegas lag because you just lose track of time.
Yeah, I'll tell you my Vegas story. One Vegas story, real quick. I was out doing a story on Jerry Tarkanian when he was at UNLV. This is when I was working in Denver, and I walked back to Caesar's Palace, and I'm walking through the casino to get to the elevators, and everything has stopped, and everybody's watching the TVs around the casino, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? It was Magic Johnson announcing that he was HIV positive. And the entire casino stopped. It was really weird. It was really, it was a really bizarre experience.
I bet it would have been the same when OJ's deal was going on.
Oh, I'll tell you where I was with OJ. This is hysterical too. I was covering some major golf tournament out in Oakmont, Pennsylvania. Might have been the PGA, might have been US. I don't remember what it was. And, after we covered what we had to cover, of course, we went to a local bar, and on the TV they had it was 94, so it would have been the Knicks and Houston Rockets, I believe, in the NBA Finals. And then some of the TVs started showing the chase, and some of these guys at the bar were betting whether OJ would take himself out. It was a really bizarre experience, but yeah, we were going back. We had half the TVs on the basketball game and half the TVs on the chase. And I guarantee you everybody was watching the chase because that was the ultimate theater.
Oh, it was. It was crazy. And have you seen the TV series Winning Time yet?
No, I haven't. Jeff Pearlman and I don't want to say we're close friends, but we know one another. And
it's a must watch.
I hear it's good. Obviously it's not real accurate in terms
of
the depiction of Jerry West. But
I was going to say Jerry West is this completely off the board. I mean, John Laskowski, who played with him, said he was a totally good dude. That is so wrong. That they just theatered that part, but the rest of it is pretty cool. But the part that is the most mind-boggling is when the Lakers were trying to hire a Tarkanian, and there's a scene where Dr. Jerry Buss is having dinner with Tark at some restaurant in Vegas, and then they look over and these guys, these black suits are sitting there, and they give him a nice wave, and then later, while he's considering this job, his agent was found in his trunk.
Oh no! I didn't know that.
And I think that is supposedly a true story.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to look. I'm going to look that up to see. But I remember John telling me that part too. Said that I think that's true.
Wow. Yeah. So you're saying that maybe working in Vegas, he was a little mobbed up, huh?
He did not take the Lakers job. No, he passed.
He did take the San Antonio Spurs job for a very short time, and it was a total disaster. And he was out, in within minutes, it seemed like.
Yeah, he was able to escape by then, I guess.
Yeah.
What else is coming up that we need to know for Bob? We've got the story right now on the draft and the trade.
Yeah.
At the Athletic.
I got one that you're going to be interested in, and you helped me with this and helping me get a couple of numbers. So if you remember back last spring, going into the Big Ten tournament, IU obviously was in a bad place. They lost 6 in a row. We're not looking good. The guys got suspended for curfew violation. So I started reaching out to former IU players and one former IU coach, Mike Davis, and basically was doing a story on what the hell is wrong with this program. Well, since then, things have turned around. They had a really nice Big Ten tournament. They got to the NCAA tournament. You've got number 5 recruiting class coming in, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I got all these fantastic interviews. What do I do with them? So I ended up writing an oral history of kind of where IU has been and where it's going, where IU has been the last couple of years since Bob Knight. And I think it's going to run on Monday, but it's basically a long oral history of IU and how they've reached this point after 20 some odd years of just kind of floundering with a couple of moments of excellence. So look out for that. I think it's going to be Monday. Otherwise, I'm just watching the Pacers really closely to see how they're going to operate, because I think that there's some things they still want to do.
Sounds incredible. Make sure you should be a subscriber to The Athletic. I am. It is full of incredible information. Most importantly, that of Bob Kravitz, who we look forward to talking to each and every week, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Be good.
You betcha. Hey, we've got Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star up next. Speaking of great writers, no one covers the state like Kyle does. Brought to you by our good friends at Metalworks Brewing Company. Make sure you stop by right off of the square. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. Hey, Kyle, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
Now, we won't have you next week, right, Kyle? You'll be out of town.
No, I think I'm good.
So
good the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be off.
Okay, so next week will be your last week, and you'll be off?
I think this week and next week I should be fine. And then the 27th I would be off.
Gotcha.
Are you going to Michigan? Is that...
I went this past weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think no one knows that story. I was just telling. Did you hear that Tark's agent being found dead in his trunk? Was that true? I'm gonna look that up right now. I think that was true.
Wasn't that on
the Winning Time series? Yeah. I'm reading about it right now. Let's see. Oh, crap. Come on. What's new with you, brother?
Not much. Just working on a lot of football stuff.
All right, 30 seconds.
Best deals. And right now, it's the Certified Dream Deal Sales Event. Get 0.99% APR financing for well-qualified buyers on all 2017 through 2021 Honda Certified Pre-Owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It is Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joins us. Kyle, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Great. Brought to you by our great friends at Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in Indianapolis area, make sure you reach out to Cheryl Sizemore. Her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Summertime right now for the high school athletes, baseball's wrapped up. You've got AAU kind of finishing up because that stuff is now moving down south to the Adidas Gauntlet that's coming up, the EYBL finals down south, and then Under Armour up in Chicago. Football is right around the corner. I know we've got Big Ten Media Days at the end of this month. Up in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. So it's just, it's right here, man. And it won't be long. Next month is August. High school football practice will be starting. It's crazy that we're getting closer to just having a smaller and smaller gap in the summer, Kyle. That gap used to be a nice 3 months, it seems like. It's really, really starting to shrink.
Yeah, and really the teams, the old start of practice thing is really not even existent anymore because you can practice, throughout the summer pretty much. Now this week is a moratorium week, so everybody's required to be off this week. But for the most part, you can do stuff, with your teams in the off season and certainly in June. Teams get together and they have scrimmages and. So there's really no, true start of. It's not like you show up and like, oh, this is all brand new at the start of practice. So yeah, I mean, we've been working on our super team. We're doing a little bit different. I don't want to give too much away, but we've started doing some photo shoots already. I think we got 3 of them done and several more to go. For our super team photo shoot. So, we've been doing those here the last week and a half or so. And that's been, kind of the kickoff to the start of our football season. So, and we'll have a lot more to come. Been kind of rolling out some football content, even now, I had a story yesterday on the Supreme Court decision on, praying and I talked to a couple of coaches who responded, to that inquiry. I didn't know if anybody would, but, so that was interesting. But yeah, definitely it's getting close to start of football season.
I saw that too. And it took me back to high school. And I remember before we would pray before every game, not after. There was just too much going on afterwards, but before every game, we would all, and it was only for games, we would gather and just say the Lord's Prayer, which, back then being an ignorant 17-year-old person who I was not worldly. I didn't know really about Islam and I didn't study religion. I didn't really think of it. I was like, hey, whatever. So it didn't or dawn on me that this could be offensive to somebody. But it was just a part of us. We all did it as a group. So I think that prayer should be allowed, period.
do your own prayer if you need to. But I think it brings people, the guys together, and I'm glad that they're allowed to continue to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a real strong opinion, and I mean, I kind of, the curiosity. It was definitely newsworthy. It was a story that had been going through the Supreme Court for a while now, and the coach in Washington, and his name escapes me off the top of my head, but so to follow up with a couple, coaches, and I sent out an inquiry to all of our area coaches. Those two, Mike Kirshner and Jay Gilbert, were two who responded. And I had one other, Kyle Ray from Heritage Christian, who responded as well, but he's a Catholic school or a Christian school coach, so a little bit different scenario in his situation. But Mike Kirshner's coached for years. He's at Warren Central now. He'd been at Ben Davis for a long time. I'd coached under Tom Allen at Ben Davis. So, there was some, so in his situation, he's been doing this about 20 years. Jake Gilbert, almost that long, also comes from the Ben Davis coaching tree, Dick Dullahan coaching tree over there. So, and they both had strong opinions on prayer and two different ways of going about it. And I think, Mike basically said, hey, we pray. I'm not going to run away from it. We do it before the game. We do it after the game. We do it at the what do you call it? The meal, the pregame meal before. So, and then Jay Gilbert said, hey, one of our players lead our prayer. I pray by myself, and Mike does that too. But, and I'm not surprised, the two of them, knowing them for a long time, that's the way they handle, their situations in particular. And I know there's others out there who do it too. They just didn't respond to I get it. I mean, I get why you wouldn't respond, but, and I had some pushback yesterday, like, hey, why didn't you ask, people on the other side? It's like, well, I did. You're not going to always get comment from people. So, so it's not meant to be. And I have, it's kind of like you. I mean, I was trying to remember back to my own high school football experience. And I know we would pray. I never felt like, personally, that it was something I even thought about. I didn't, you just did it. So
it was just words that we all said as a group. I was not thinking about it I really wasn't thinking about it in any particular religious form. It was just, it was a group thing. But we were just kids,
Yeah. And Mike Kirshner talked about that. He said, the kind of the point of our prayer is to, talk about health and safety and wanting everybody to be safe. And that's kind of how I always felt about that experience too. From a personal standpoint. Now I'd certainly empathize with the other side saying, hey, if you take yourself out of that situation and, make yourself like, hey, I don't want to be part of this, even though the coaches say like, hey, we won't, that has no impact. I mean, I definitely understand how that would be, something that would maybe isolate you a bit from the team. Now, I don't think, in the case after a game, if you're off to the side and not taking part of that, I'm not sure anybody would really notice that anyway. But I could see in a pregame situation or a, pregame meal type situation, if you did that, that might isolate you. And even if they're saying, it's nothing negative towards you if you do that, I can understand, hey, I'm just going to go along with this, even if I'm uncomfortable. So you have to understand that side of it too. So, that's why I'm sort of on the, I don't have a strong opinion either way about it. I think if you do your own thing on your own, obviously there's nothing, you should be able to do that. I think, I mean, that's my take on it. And I guess that's a Supreme Court's take on it. But as a team, I can understand why, there would be some trepidation about that. And as a teenage kid trying to earn playing time, you could see where that might be problematic. So yeah, I mean, again, those are two coaches' opinions, two fairly prominent coaches, and there's more out there. I know I've been around them who do similar, type of things. And like I said, I did it, personally. I didn't lead it, but I was, as a player long ago, was part of those situations too. And so, anyway, it's an interesting topic, and I'm curious, beyond that story, what it looks like this season. I mean, are coaches more apt to just do it in the locker room and not out on the field in front of everyone? Is there maybe more, or do you feel more emboldened now to do that? So it's honestly something I didn't really think much about, covering just kind of part of the fabric of some programs, not all, but some. And, so I never thought about a specific religion or anything like that, but I think it will be interesting this year to see what that looks like.
Absolutely. And especially as the times keep changing, I'm surprised. That's the one thing that is probably, believe it, as hard as it is to believe, that prayer is the one thing that has kind of made it through all of this stuff. And if you would have asked me, I would have given it probably the least chance, because it's such at times a lightning rod thing. But I think that's just, there are so many people that like to, pardon my language, but just like to bitch just to bitch. And they complain for no reason. And a lot of things like this happen and they just get blown up. But right now there's so much going on that it's drawing everybody's attention in 10 different directions. And it's like, that's the least of our worries right now.
Well, and I will say too, having known, Mike Kirshner, Jake Gilbert, I look at their overall, coaching arc, I guess, and their sort of their impact on kids, and Mike Kirshner, he's coached at places where he feels like they need, Ben Davis, Warren Central, we need to give these kids something positive. And I've heard Mike speak at, different events, Martin Luther King Day events. And, so you look at that and you're like, how can you say he's doing anything bad? And again, I'm not necessarily saying, religion should be a part of everything we do at public schools necessarily. But I think if you look at the good he's done and understand that, and I think what he's trying to do is give those young men something positive to like he said, you leave for the night, and hopefully that you give them something positive to go on in the rest of their lives with. And I really think that's where it starts from with him, not necessarily like you need to believe this or that or the other about specific religion. So I think that's a fair thing a fair way to look at it in their, especially those two in their situations. So, but I could see, if a coach is trying to, spread their religion or, they feel emboldened to tell you specific things, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I don't think these two coaches do that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I've never had that issues, and I would understand that, and it would make sense to me. I would totally say, hey, no, you can't do that. But I think it's actually just I think it's good. I went through it, and it did not guide me towards any religion. It was just a bonding type of atmosphere. And I think people need to leave it alone. There are much, much bigger problems for people to tackle. What's up next for you, by the way?
I've got yesterday was working on some 2023 basketball class rankings. So that should be out. I don't know when they'll put it out. Probably, I don't know, tomorrow maybe, or sometime soon. And then I don't know if you remember the story of Landis Sims, the young man from South Central there in southern Indiana. He was born without hands and legs, and is playing high school baseball. I wrote a story about him. He's playing basketball. I wrote a story about him probably a year and a half ago, and he has a movie coming out. It's kind of a documentary about his life, and talked to him yesterday, and the man who did the documentary about him, he followed him around for 8 years pretty much. And
wow,
he's from California, but probably made 20 to 30 trips to Indiana, and a lot of really cool behind the scenes, stuff with Landis growing up. And he's still in high school now, but just starting to play high school baseball. Really an amazing story. And so I'll be writing about that here in the next day or so, or at least this week. And then got some more football stuff coming. And, like I said, trying to do kind of rolling that out every week, have something a little different from a football perspective.
Well, it's always great stuff, and make sure you should be a subscriber. I am to the Indy Star. Keep you informed and keep local papers alive, man. One of the great writers that they have, Kyle Neddenriep. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Appreciate him, and we'll have him back next week. Rick Bozich on later, the Hall of Famer from WDRB.com. We'll get caught up on everything that's going on with him and much more. We've got, let's see, next weekend, you've got AAU action happening as the Adidas Gauntlet is going to be getting underway. The EYBL Peach Jam will be getting underway. The Under Armour, I don't even know what they call it, up in Chicago will be getting underway. So lots of hoop actions coming up here soon as well. But that and much more. Rick Bozich joins us here in the upcoming and plenty more coming up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Barber Pop Realty Services in Southern Indiana, where they've been serving their customers for nearly 3 decades. If you're in the Louisville, Jeff, Clark, Harrison, Floyd County area down in Southern Indiana, make sure you reach out to Matt at barberpop.com. That's all you got to do, and you'll have yourselves in a brand new home. Hey, we've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore.
All right, this will be a short segment before we bring on old Rick Bozich. Big Bad Bozich.
Big bad Bo.
Hey, I'll remind you again later this week, but I want to go ahead and remind you that this Friday you're going to have Joe and all of next week. I would say hopefully next week is the last time I have to do it for a full week for a while, but honestly, there's no telling how often that's going to happen because it just depends on when people take vacation. I'm hoping Joe, too. I haven't talked to him about his class schedule this coming semester. I'm curious if he's going to be able to fill in during the year based on his classes.
Probably will sometimes, and sometimes he probably won't be, which will suck.
Hopefully he doesn't have a whole schedule of 8 a.m.s. That would suck. That would really screw us.
The Warden. 5 lefts.
The Warden?
The Warden. Steve Ward.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go.
com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Man, I was thinking it was already Thursday. That's what those short weeks do, but it usually works in reverse. It is Thursday and you're thinking it's Wednesday, but I'm trying to jump ahead already, man. I'm trying to get to the weekend. No reason. But hitting up the Andy Moore Honda hotline. 5 lefts. He used to lead prayer before every game when he played, as he should. The Warden has stopped by. Steve Ward, or Steve W. My bad. Tebow says Philip Knight, co-founder of Nike and Oregon Booster, wants Oregon to join the Big Ten. Well, I'm sure he does, because it means pulling in over $100 million versus not. We'll talk about realignment with Rick when Rick comes along. Rick Bozich. Who is going to be next? That's the question. No, I've seen a couple of reports where Notre Dame has said, we're still good. I mean, that's pretty bold of them in this landscape, and the fact that they are basically turning down probably $75 million. That would be my guesstimate, but that would be the additional monies Notre Dame would make if they were a member of the Big Ten simply by joining the Big Ten as opposed to not. That's the money that they could make. And the fact, if they were in the Big Ten as a whole, that would make that it would certainly be greater than the sum of its parts. But man, oh man, look at the sum of those parts if that would be the case. Notre Dame, UCLA, USC, all being new, of course. You add that to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, of course, Indiana on the basketball side. But now the question looms, even with this, from football, and football is what drives the train. You've got football and the NCAA tournament. Other than that, everything else is chicken feed. The money made in college athletics, the old 80-20, 80% of your business comes from 20% of your people, blah, blah, or 80% of that. Everything's always 80-20. Well, here's the 80-20. 80% of the money, or 80% of the importance is football, not basketball. It's football. Now, once these two big behemoths collide and you have Notre Dame, what would prevent the top teams of the SEC in football, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, is that it? Am I missing anybody? Those are the bigs. The bigs. I'm talking the bigs. Alabama, LSU, Georgia,
I don't know that Florida's still big. Auburn, of course. But my point is, you take the top 4 or 5 teams from the SEC in football, then you do the same. Or what if they do the same in the Big Ten? What if Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin want to join this football alliance? Well, you got Texas and Oklahoma, I forgot about as well. But because, again, that drives the train other than the NCAA basketball tournament. I hope that doesn't happen. We'll talk to Rick about some options of what ways for that not to happen or where we might be going. Rick Bozich from WDRB is coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by School Courier, all part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up for the WOW Club. It's a totally free app to sign up for and start earning WOW rewards today. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your phone. When you sign up for your WOW Club, you're supporting those who support us and IU Athletics. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com back with us next after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning.
You know, and I'll say this on the air, but I was thinking this last night as I was watching baseball scores and whatnot. I can't dump the Reds because I'm a fan. You just can't. It sucks. It's one of the things. That's one of the things you just can't do, and it's just not allowed. But you really wish you could, but I can't. Oh, I do. Trust me. I wish I could, but I can't. But I can adopt an American League team. I can allow that. So I think I'm going to adopt the White Sox of all people.
Well, it's a bad year to do that. They've been colossal underachievers.
I'm not a bandwagon guy, and obviously I'm a Reds fan. There's been no wagon or band in Cincinnati for a long time.
Right now, you're going to trade the few good players you have left, right?
Oh, we've got to, and that's part of the deal.
Isn't that pitcher like the most desired guy out there?
Oh man, he's rolling. I don't know how they're holding on to Joey Votto.
Salary.
Yeah, he's too expensive.
How many more years do they owe him?
I don't know, but he's up there too. He's
got to be 38, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he's up there, man.
What's going on in Bloomington? Anything good?
Nothing new that I've heard. Quiet. Everything's going on the road. You got a lot of basketball in Kansas City this weekend.
Right.
And then next weekend you've got. Are you going to any of that stuff? You don't have to go to any of that crap, do you?
No. I did in the younger days. I can't. I don't see how Rab Johns does it.
Well, he has to.
Are you surprised Peegs just vanished?
No, because he was not a writer. He was a smart guy because he did this before anybody.
Yes, he did.
And not only that, he started out as rivals and been moved to where it was better for them and
15.
built the hell out of it. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
All right,
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Wednesday. Glad to have Rick Bozich, the Hall of Fame writer from the U.S. Basketball Writers Association at WDRB.com. What's going on in Louisville?
Just asking you. It's a pretty quiet time of year right now. We got we got 2 pro soccer teams here in town. We got minor league baseball.
You have 2?
Yeah, there's a men's and a women's team.
I did. Wow. When did the women's team happen?
This is their second season. They're actually in the top league in the country. They play against like LA and Orlando and
holy crap
around the U.S. There's most of the players on like the U.S. national team play in the league. I think they've had 1 or 2 players from the U.S. national team.
I did not know that. I cannot believe I have. What's the name of the team?
Racing Louisville.
I cannot believe I've not seen a single thing on any social media or anything anywhere. That's crazy.
Yeah, Racing Louisville, and then they got Lou City FC.
Right.
We got the Bats. You know, the talk of the town here is pretty much what it is in all college towns is what's going on with realignment and how is it going to affect in this town specifically. I think people are talking about how it's going to affect Louisville.
Well, that's the one, Louisville in the ACC, which everyone's kind of looking at as, where's the ACC going to end up after this? Because right now it's the Big Ten and the SEC, because football drives the train in college athletics. As much as we love basketball and we love the NCAA tournament, which is one of the greatest sports spectaculars that there is, football drives the train. And the ACC, that is not in their favor. They have Notre Dame kind of, but I don't, how is this not going to be the SEC and the Big Ten for the college football championship? I just don't know how that's not going to be the case.
It certainly seems the direction we're going. The only question is how long is it going to take for us to get there and how many teams will end up in each league. I agree with you. I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten are proactive and the other leagues are reactive. And the SEC made the most recent move of the big moves, although this has been going on now for 25, 30 years, when they got Texas and Oklahoma last year. And then we had this supposed alliance between the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 ACC and the Big 10, which was meaningless.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, the Big 10 gets the 2 schools in LA. And now, from everything I've heard, obviously the Big 10's, I think before they make any more moves, they're waiting to see what Notre Dame will do.
Well, they have to, because without Notre Dame is without Notre Dame, why, who else would you add and why besides Notre Dame? Yeah.
The only one I would make an argument for, and I'm not saying ahead of Notre Dame, I'm just saying with Notre Dame, because you need to add 2, don't you, to make it an even number?
Yes.
Might be like a North Carolina.
Yeah, that's been the talk.
North Carolina is entangled in their ACC contract. All those schools, when the latest round of realignment went down, they signed some grant of rights agreement so that if you left the league, you could leave, but any TV revenue you earned through 2036 would go back to the ACC, which is a pretty big deterrent. And I'm sure that was fought in courts. Huh?
Did the schools have Fred Glass as their attorney?
I don't know.
I'm going to
the ACC's at a big disadvantage. The biggest disadvantage they're at is that the value of their television contract is, half or less than half of what the SEC and Big Ten schools are going to get. And you're hearing these numbers thrown around. The new Big Ten contract will be worth over $100 million per school. I think the ACC teams are hoping to get in the 40s. And they were late. As much as everybody likes to criticize Jim Delaney, I mean, for him getting ahead of the pack with the Big Ten network, he's got that league, positioned ahead of everybody except the SEC. And that's why the Pac-12 failed to a large degree, is the Pac-12 network a lot of people could never get it on. It wasn't on a bunch of different carriers. Nobody ever saw the games, and the ACC was slow creating their network. So it's a race, I think, and at this point, the Big Ten and the SEC can afford to be selective in who they want and who they don't want. And if you remember 2 years ago during COVID, one time in their life, the Notre Dame was vulnerable, and they went to the ACC and said, we want to compete for the ACC championship this year. And they let them, and there was no quid pro quo. I mean, that's the time the ACC had leverage to say, yeah, I mean, you can come, but you need to come on a permanent basis. But they didn't do that. And so, I don't see Notre Dame sticking with the ACC if they ever make a permanent commitment. I just don't see it. It doesn't make sense anyway. They belong in the Midwest. They're a Midwest school.
And, well, not only that, the money. At the end of the day, I'm thinking they're around 33, 35 million is what they're pulling in. And the Big Ten we're going to be looking at over 100 million. But if you add Notre Dame to that mix, Notre Dame in itself doesn't raise it as high as that. But when you add Notre Dame to UCLA, USC, Michigan, blah, 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 I mean, that could go up even substantially more, 125 million, 100, who knows, 150. When every year you're going to have regular season games between these teams. Indiana is going to play at UCLA in Pauley Pavilion one year, and another year UCLA is going to be at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. There's going to be such incredible games now, marquee games that are just set up instantaneously that package could be worth even more than we're anticipating now. And I don't know how Notre Dame turns that down, because half of their football schedule is already being played with teams that are in the Big Ten, whether it's USC, Michigan, or whom else. What does independence do for them? What do they really want? Because joining the Big Ten would give them the ability to do almost anything they want, because they would just be heaped in money. People will be pulling up Brinks trucks and just opening up the doors and filling the grotto with money.
Yeah, I agree. It's just their tradition, and we all know the tradition has been shredded. All the stuff that's going on, it's in many ways irrelevant. Notre Dame has been the one school that's clung to its status as we're the only ones who can make it without being in a conference. We're Notre Dame. Our academic stand different. Mission is different. We're a national brand, and we're not going to give up.
John, I'm starting to wonder if this is not on your end.
Okay, it's not. So go ahead and let's not get to that. It's not.
Relax. There you go. He's back.
It might be on my end. I actually have the internet people coming out here tomorrow, because my internet goes down 6 or 8 times a day. So hopefully we can get through this.
Well, we had an issue with Bob, so I was thinking it was us.
Okay. Notre Dame is so proud of its independence that Jack Swarbrick is the AD. He's been there for a long time. This is like one of his legacy decisions. Is he going to keep Notre Dame independent, or is he going to look at the lay of the land and say that worked for 100 and some years, but it's not going to work anymore for the survival of the best of the school? We got to go another direction.
It will certainly be something. Louisville, speaking of Louisville, caught in the ACC. And I don't mean this to be negative, but Louisville has basically zero leverage for several reasons. Number one, because of all the NCAA problems that they've been in over the last decade. Nobody wants that. Secondly, their academics are just weak, and a league like the Big Ten is definitely not going to take Louisville. I don't see an SEC. I guess the ACC is not going to go anywhere, but what's going to become of the ACC? They're football. They don't have a football league. I mean, Clemson is it.
Yeah, I mean, two parts of that. One, I mean, the third part of the Louisville equation that's difficult for them is that the TV market they would bring is Louisville. Well, the SEC already has a presence in Louisville because of Kentucky, and they even have a bit of presence in Louisville because of Indiana. So, it's not like they would bring a huge TV audience along with them. The next thing I would say with the ACC is, I mean, the only thing that I think is in the ACC's favor at this time is that grant of rights contract, which makes schools vulnerable to leave, because if let's say Clemson would go to the SEC, you hear that one. If Clemson goes to the SEC, according to that contract, any money they would make in the SEC through 2035 or 36, whatever it is, goes back to the ACC. Now, obviously, we know that they would look for some loophole and try and fight that in court and get it, knocked down a few pegs if a school doesn't really want to be in the league. But yeah, that's the ACC's issue. I mean, I think you look at a lot of schools in their league, Miami, Florida State, and Clemson, you would have to think would want to go to the SEC, wouldn't you? I mean, they're all football schools that they've all won national championships over the last 25 to 30 years. They all want to compete at the highest level of football. Basketball is sort of an afterthought at all of them. So get in the league where, you're talked about in the South about college football, where football is king.
Then we've got the Pac-12 and the Big 12 who are scrambling to fill. I mean, you got the Big 12
marriage. Yeah.
They lose Texas and Oklahoma, the two crown jewels of the conference. And then now, of course, the Pac-12 losing UCLA and USC, their two crowns of the league. Those two leagues aren't going to merge, I don't think. Are they? Or
I mean, there's been different talk over the last couple of days. I saw yesterday that the Big 12, I think Dennis Dodd, didn't he report that the Big 12 was in talking to, I think it was like Washington, Arizona State, and Oregon. And it sounded like, and maybe Utah, and maybe Colorado, I don't remember, but Stanford, Cal, and Oregon State and Washington State were the teams getting left out.
Really? Huh? I don't know. Why would they leave anybody out? I would think that they would, just for strength.
Well, I think you leave Washington State and Oregon State out because they don't bring anything to the equation in terms of television viewers. Oregon brings you Oregon, Washington brings you Seattle and Washington. So why divide up the pie and help two more schools get a slice? I mean, it really is Darwinian, man. You have to always look out for your best interest in every way. And that's why I think sometimes Indiana needs to dig a little deeper and
football
a little harder at building the football program up. Because if it ever gets to the point where the Big Ten says, we got a few teams in here that really aren't adding much to the mix, and we can get stronger by booting them out and bringing somebody else in, Indiana and Northwestern, and I don't know who else, but Rutgers or whatever. Well, Rutgers brings in New York market, but Maryland or whatever. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in the next few years, but I can see those kind of conversations coming down the line. Can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Because as I said, football is the engine that drives the train at the end of the day. And especially when you've got Ohio State, Penn State, these places, they have 100,000 seat stadiums on top of that. But that's not where the money's being made, although they're making money on it. I mean, what Michigan makes about $6 million a game, I think, which is more money than an IU football makes in a season, probably. But it's the TV money. And that's where I hope this doesn't happen. But why nothing would prevent it. But, are we in danger of having, Georgia and Auburn and Alabama and the top of the SEC and then the top of the Big Ten just pulling off and saying, hey, this is us. This is the Premier League. This is the Premier League.
Jim, I think if we were starting out now and they could start from scratch and there weren't all these legal entanglements of contracts and, TV rights issues and scheduling contracts and all this, that we would already be closer to that. But I think eventually that's where it's headed, where there's going to be a super league, or whether it's 12 or 16 teams. And I heard you talking about it before I kind of came on the air. It'd be like Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M,
Texas and Oklahoma.
That's okay. That's what, 6? I think Florida still makes the cut. That's 7. Ohio State 8, Notre Dame 9, Michigan 10, Penn State 11,
Wisconsin
12, USC 13, and then after that you start arguing about them. Is it Oregon? Is it
Iowa?
Is it Michigan State? Is it?
Well, I think both of those end up in because they both have good football programs.
Is it Tennessee? Because they're on the way back. I don't know. The last 3 or 4 spots are going to be really cutthroat. Really. But we all know Clemson. We forgot to mention Clemson. Miami probably in the discussion. I don't know. I don't know if you have 3 Florida schools with Florida, Florida State, and Miami. But
would it be fun to have that league? We're going to see those games anyway at the end of the year, so I can wait for those games.
Yeah, I don't know if fun is the right word, but I think in some ways, if you went to that kind of competition, there'd be some benefits to it because you might put other schools like Indiana in a league where they could actually win some games. They've been in the Big Ten for 30 years. How many games? For the last 50 years, how many times have they beat Michigan and Ohio State combined in 50 years? Like 3?
Maybe
3 or 4?
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
That has to change. At some level, and that's I'll put that on the IU athletic department in the 70s and 80s and 90s of not taking football seriously enough, and the program got left so far behind in so many ways that it's in a bit of a vulnerable position, in my opinion.
Oh, I still think they don't take it seriously enough. They have the word. Other than say Rutgers, who I think has better practice facilities, but their stadium just sucks and their press box is worse than Indiana's, which is hard to believe because Indiana has the 1969 press box, where if you see every other stadium in the Big Ten, their press box it's not just a press box, but I call it the press box. It goes from end to end. They're 3 stories tall. They're mostly suites, TV, press, whatever else, but that's money. But the only place that IU doesn't do that. And there's no way that they couldn't sell. I know that they could sell some suites. Hell, companies buy those just for the write-offs. And there's plenty of IU companies that would do that. Now, they're going to, and then the practice facilities, the Mellencamp facility, that thing is just a shell. It's just a shell. Right. Everybody uses it. It's like their weight room. Everybody uses it. They don't have their own weight room. And that goes back to Fred Glass. He did. Everybody says, "Oh, he did so much." No, he didn't. He enclosed the stadium. He enclosed the stadium with barely increasing the capacity of it, which that shows you the confidence you have.
I'm not opposed to that because they don't sell what they have. So if they need to fill what they have on a consistent basis and create an atmosphere before you can talk about expanding the stadium. But the other point is well taken. There should be some suites on the sidelines. The ones they build are in the end zones, which aren't very attractive to sit there. Right? You want to build them on on each side of the field where people can watch.
They're putting off. They know. I think that they know. They have to know this. They know that they have to build this. It has to come now. Are they waiting for this new Big Ten contract?
Maybe.
Probably. But once that thing gets approved, that should just be done, knowing that money's coming. Do it now. Don't let the president siphon off half the money and all that. They have got they've got to commit. They have to commit now for football. I mean, there has to be an all-in commitment right now.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to be in the league with these other teams and you see which way this train's moving, you better start running faster or the train's going to be leaving and you're not going to be on it. So, it's definitely an issue that they need to be talking about because we know that this isn't the same old sleepy Big Ten it used to be where it's all buddy stuff. I mean, when you start talking about bringing teams from Los Angeles into the Big Ten, this is a whole new world.
Speaking of the Big Ten now I can't believe I'm saying this, USC and UCLA now part of the Big Ten. We're going to have some great historic matchups, whether it's USC coming to the Shoe or Indiana basketball going to Pauley Pavilion as a kind of a constant, something that would be ongoing. They're going to have to work out how they schedule all this stuff. You've got 16 teams now. And in basketball, you've got a 20-game schedule. So we know they'll just add some more 1-and-1s. You're going to lose some home and homes, going to have less home and homes or 2 less home and homes now. Football probably only get to play in Los Angeles once every 2 years. Maybe play one of the teams every 2 years, rotate like that, but divisions will be gone. And with 16 teams, that's a tough way to determine a champion.
Yeah, it is. But the issue I have with it is, I mean, how many games are there really that everybody's going to get excited about? And there's probably you could come up with 10 or 12 matchups that are exciting. USC and UCLA against Ohio State, that's 2. Against Michigan, that's 4. Against Penn State, that's 6. Against Wisconsin, that's 8. Maybe against Iowa, that's 10. And then whatever the hot team of the year is. I mean, there's going to be some games that are going to make you shrug your shoulders too. Like, how many people are going to be excited about Rutgers at UCLA or Northwestern at USC or whatever. I mean, and you create some issues for basketball. I mean, I wouldn't want to be Mick Cronin or Andy Enfield of, you're out in LA and you're going to have to make 5 trips across the country. They'll probably, every time they come across the country, they'll probably play 2 games, like a, Friday, Sunday or a Saturday, Monday, but then you'll have to go all the way back and you have a day or 2 of rest and play a home game. That's going to be grueling travel for those guys. And also you're going to have West Coast dudes who are used to being in LA who are going to be leaving 72 degrees and they're going to get to Rutgers and it'll be 8 below. It's going to be weird.
Hey, that's part of sports, baby. They'll have to get used to it. But also, someone mentioned yesterday, because of all the added money, everyone's travel in that regard is going to be much easier. They're going to be on charters.
Sure.
And I'm not expecting to see. I'm not expecting to see a bunch of 11 o'clock basketball games either. But I am looking forward to some Bill Walton in the Big Ten, baby.
Oof. I'm not a Bill Walton guy, man. His during the Maui Classic when he talked about everything but the game, that was enough for me.
Yeah, that does drive me insane. I'm not gonna lie. And when he goes past the line, I'm like, dude, because he does it on purpose because he can. But yeah, when he goes over the line, that's too much. So now you can't. I know they can, but football is such. Daniel asking, first time I've seen it. Daniel, how much would a state-of-the-art football complex cost? More? No, it would probably be $100 million plus. I'm trying to. No. I'm thinking the indoor facility complex.
Oh, I don't think it'd be $100 million, but no.
Really? They could get it for under that? I'm trying to remember what Northwestern probably has one of the nicest
Right.
in
So
the
does
country. Purdue has an incredible one. Nebraska has a new one. I haven't even seen. I have no idea. I'm sure Ohio State and Michigan. That's insane. But like I said, Indiana. If you were walk by the weight room, you could see. You never know what sport you're going to see in there, and it doesn't sound like a big deal. But
$65 million.
How much?
$65 million for Purdue's.
Well, there you go. So it's something that's going to have to be done. It's just no ifs or buts about it.
It should have been done a long time ago. As you mentioned, they've made some incremental progress. They've made the practice fields better. They enclosed both end zones. They did add the weight room, the strength and training stuff. I don't know what their finances are, but that's also you have to make it. It's also marketing. Indiana's in a tougher spot too because of the lack of tradition, and you're also competing against the Colts. They're competing in some ways against a pro franchise for football fans. It used to be, I think, people in Indianapolis would be more interested in coming down to IU for a football game if they didn't have the Colts, but now they do. And plus, they went through that 10-year stretch where 37 was torn up, and you just gave people a lot of reasons to not come. You're not winning. It's
and
not
then last year,
huh?
And then last year,
yeah. It's all part of the challenge that they face, but you got to embrace the challenge because the game's changing.
You did a Twitter poll asking when the conference realignment stops, how many leagues people thought there would still, and they still thought that there would be 4 with the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10, and the SEC, and I guess that's accurate. I still wonder about the ACC. It's going to become a basketball conference like the Big East was.
Right. Well, you look at a school. What about Duke? Duke is the biggest name in college basketball, right?
Along with Kansas.
Yeah. And Kentucky.
That doesn't have a football team. Kentucky's got the best football team out of the 3.
Right. But what's going to happen to Duke? They have no football juice. What's going to happen to them?
It's going to be interesting. They beg to latch on someplace unless the ACC stands hold. But again, you're making no money. You're going to make so much less money in the ACC. But the other conferences may be at a point where we don't need you. Duke would be incredible for the SEC in basketball, but do they really need them? Nah.
You can get almost the same juice from North Carolina in basketball and a lot better football.
Well, and and Duke's going to be beating all their teams, and Kentucky damn sure does not want Duke in the SEC. I promise you that. What's up next for you?
I don't know. I'm looking for some stories to write. I had a fun last week, did a story on former IU basketball guard, Sharon Wilkerson.
I saw that. Sharon was on with us not too long ago. I saw the story that you had with Sharon and
Corey Norman.
They're both the boys and the girls basketball coaches now at Jeffersonville High School.
Yeah. As you remember, that was a phenomenal team at Jeff in 1993. The year before they got beat in the state finals, back when it was old-time Indiana high school basketball, one class. And they got upset by Richmond. I think
they probably should have won back-to-back state titles.
They lost a 6-point lead in the last minute because they didn't take care of the ball. And then came back the next year and beat Ben Davis for the final. And now, almost 30 years later, Sharon has come back to coach the boys. And Jeff had a bad year for them last year. I think they were 8-11, got beat by Floyd Central by almost 40 points in the sectional. Damn. And Corey's back to coach the girls. So it was nice to see them back, and always good to go cover some high school hoops.
Yeah, very cool. I saw one of the things that there's in the Johnson Arena there at Jeffersonville. You can press a button and listen to the replay of the final 39 seconds of Charlie Jenkins' radio call.
Yep.
That.
Ted Throckmorton screaming his lungs out.
Oh my God. I've not heard that. I've got to hear that, but
you got to go in there.
I wish I had a call of when I was in high school, any time that when I was playing and Charlie Jenkins did one of our games, I would love that because he just had a great radio voice and was such a great guy.
Yeah.
Man, I can't thank you enough, Rick. Make sure you check out everything he's got at WDRB.com. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great rest of your week and fun weekend.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah. Rick Bozich joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got a little more coming up right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting. Yes, we're already watching 11 o'clock games. And I mean, I don't think that, and you're right, I'm already watching them. I'm talking about the people that are bitching and moaning about it. Dude, there's going to be so many games that it won't matter if they're on at 11 because, they're not going to have Indiana playing at 11 o'clock. I surely don't think. Now, I could see them having Rutgers play at 11 o'clock, as they should. Bobby J.
The only time you'll be playing 11 o'clock games is if you're on the road in either USC or UCLA, because that's their prime time.
That's not true. If you're at home.
Yeah. If Indiana's traveling to UCLA and it's 11 o'clock Eastern time, it's 8 p.m. their time. That's prime time LA viewing is what I'm trying to say.
I get that. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to schedule it like that. But
So
that's
you
just my
think
opinion.
That if Indiana's playing at UCLA, they'll play it at 8 p.m. Eastern when it's 5 o'clock in Los Angeles, and fans can't even get to the game at that point.
It'll be scheduled for like a 9:30 game, which is 6:30.
And that's about the earliest I could see it be.
Who the frick watches basketball in Los Angeles?
Does UCLA not have basketball fans having 10 national titles or anything? Surely they do.
You would think, but all right, I'm trying to find somebody. Hold on. Stop distracting me.
A minute and a half.
Just distracted me. Bobby Johnson, where are you from, man? I don't have you in the book. He's not in the book. He's a new one. Bobby J.
Oh, it's Forrest has 11 titles. Does UCLA have 11 titles? I thought it was 10.
They do. They do have 11. John Wooden won 10.
Okay. You'll have about, 2 minutes to wrap things up when we come back. We will not have Chris Denari tomorrow. We will have Matt Taylor and Dustin. And, so if you want to reach out to anybody special like Dale Davis or whoever else you've been talking with.
You know what? He hadn't responded to me. Oh, my God. I just blocked myself.
From commenting?
Yep.
All right. Here we go.
Football and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful short week hump day. got there quick this week. Brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. Make sure they are all part of the Wow Club. Make sure you go and sign up for the Wow Club. Apple App Store or Google Play Store is the easiest way to do it. Right up there on your phone. Start earning Wow rewards today. Wow Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars, and more to spend sent directly to your phone. They are a proud sponsor of Value Athletics and of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Support those who support you. It doesn't cost anything, and I'm telling you, it'll be beneficial to you. And it helps us. It just looks good. Just sign up. It just looks good. We have all these people signing up. Tomorrow on the program, of course, Chris Denari will not be here as he is on assignment. We've sent him off to the Arctic. We will have, though, the great Dustin Schutte. Who else we got, Johnny boy?
Our good friend Matt Taylor.
And we'll see what else we can scramble up. But there's plenty to talk about, rather, as things continue to change in the sports world. Caleb, appreciate you, my friend, everything you do. Part of the Hoosier.com staff and everybody else. Cannot thank Bob Kravitz enough, Kyle Neddenriep, and of course, the Hall of Famer, Rick Bozich, John, the producer, and most importantly, you guys. Without you, there's no reason for us to be here. But until tomorrow, we're back to do it again, and I'll be here. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.